Good afternoon, everyone, or good evening, or good morning, whenever you are getting a chance to see this. I am the Ravenous Archon. My name is Will. I'll be your storyteller for our second part of our mini-series of Old Gods of Appalachia. Last, we left off with our group. We got to meet Edgar Longfellow, who brought them all together to investigate the situation at his family's estate outside of Norfolk, Virginia. We got to explain a little bit of his father's passing and the unnatural events that have since taken over the estate. The group noticed that Edgar had been given an envelope with no address and only the name Elizabeth G on the envelope itself. They also learned that the neighbor referred to the caretaker as Mr. Boulevard with no first name. They spent some time shopping around Philadelphia and then took a train down to Aberdeen, where they saw a handler who was waiting for them to give them tickets for the next evening's train. They bedded down at a local bed and breakfast kind of place, a little home for the wayward souls that are traveling in between cities. And then they heard the sound of metal hitting metal across the way beyond the brush, where unfortunately they got to see a little bit of what creatures roam the Appalachian Mountains in the dark as two lamplight-eyed children got into the house. One was named Archie, one was named Charlie, and we left off with them the next morning as a train is coming in, but it's not your train, guys. Good to see you, boys. Excuse me. This train is dropping off more passengers and cargo before moving further west towards Kentucky and Tennessee and those areas. But you notice that the same handler that handed you your tickets for the next train is back, and he's got a big old sign that he's got by his side that just says the name Barrow on it, and he's talking to what looks to be a handsome but dumpy middle-aged man and a demure kind of spaced out woman who is holding his hand, and there's a bit of a lively conversation between the two men, and then the handler kind of points in your direction as you are coming out of the house, and then kind of holds up his hand. The gentleman that he's talking to also holds up his hand, and the woman kind of just stays staring out into the distance. But the handler shakes hands with the gentleman and then goes over and mounts his wagon and kind of clicks his teeth together to get his horse moving, and then he starts going up the road. But you see the dumpy gentleman and what you presume is his wife kind of sit down at the one bench that the train station has. I open the scene to you. Would you like to proceed?
What do you think that was about?
Well, I'm not sure. Not sure. And after last night's events, who knows?
I reckon we could ask the feller.
Sounds like an idea. It's in our direction. Might as well.
Father, why don't
I'll
you
make
do
mine.
the honors? I am much for talking.
Not a problem. I mean, surprised you all want to hear my voice after last night.
I thought the sermon was lovely,
Yeah, my-
Father.
Has an entrancing quality to it.
Thank you, thank you. You should come when you're back in, if you're ever in Salem, you should come to the chapel on Sundays. And I make my way towards this gentleman lighting up a cigarette.
Okay. You see
I
that
follow.
he has pulled out a pipe and started to stuff it with tobacco. But he stands the moment that you come out towards him, puts the kind of empties the pipe back into his tobacco back into the little what looks to be like a canvas type of envelope, puts it in his pocket, puts the pipe in a different pocket. Hello, good afternoon or morning to you.
Good morning. I believe we've had the pleasure of meeting, but you seem to know. You seem to have an acquaintance, some familiar acquaintance, and couldn't help notice you waved in our direction.
The handler, Mr. Johansson, mentioned that I could get breakfast at the house. He also mentioned that the three of you had just come in yesterday.
Yes. I'm sorry. Your name?
How rude of me. And he extends his hand out to you. Gerald Barrow. This is my wife, Wilhelmina.
Wilhelmina. Mr. Gerald Barrow. Well, pleasure to meet you. I'm Father Hill.
Father Hill.
Hugo.
Marshal Prescott, at your service.
Marshal. Priest. And farmhand. This is the beginning of a joke.
Sorry, I don't see where the humor is in that.
Oh. Three disparate walks of life that have come together here. What brings you to Maryland, if I may be so bold to ask?
Funny you should ask, Mr. Barrows. Question out of game.
Mhm.
Is this the person? This is the same dude who wrote the letter, right?
No.
No.
Has the same name, doesn't he?
Nope. Mr. Boulevard?
Oh,
Oh, okay. That's.
No.
Yeah, my bad. I was confused. See, I
mixed
wasn't
up
the only
names.
You know.
one. Yeah.
The only connection you have right now to Gerald Barrow is the fact that his name is the same name as the Barrow and Lock company that you are currently riding the rails on.
Mm. Okay. I thought I was like, man, there's something over this guy's name. Hold on.
Mhm.
All right. Hi, man.
Yeah, Barrow and Lock Rail.
Oh, sorry.
Mhm.
Yeah, nice. What was missing from my mic?
Hmm.
Is it on the floor?
Nope.
Okay. So what was he asking?
What brings you to Maryland?
That's a favorite for a friend of ours. Or and couldn't help the notice the similarities in name, Mr. Barrows. And I point at the train station, like wave my hand around the train station and the train.
The family business has been good to some of us.
To some of you. Why not everyone?
Wow. Some members of my family are hesitant to partake of what they consider to be tainted money. Are you enjoying
Tainted.
my family's amenities on the rail? Are you
Oh,
taking a
quite
B&L?
lovely. Very, yeah, very much, sir. It's quite lovely. I must say,
Good.
Good pie.
the professionalism with the staff and everyone is just, and the food. Oh,
Excellent.
peach pie. That peach pie.
You see
Not so much about the.
a valet comes over with a clipboard, excuses himself as he interrupts your conversation, shows Mr. Barrow the clipboard, and then the gentleman nods and signs it. And then he rushes over, gets back in, and you see the morning train start to pull away. I apologize, but I am here on business, unfortunately, so sometimes it pulls my attention.
I understand. I'm always on business myself, doing God's work.
Yes, God's work. Could I interest you gentlemen in a cup of coffee or some tea? I hear the house you came from has excellent breakfast.
I look at you two, and I'm like, do we have time for tea and coffee?
I check my pocket watch.
The next train should be arriving around 1:30. So,
Were we leaving
I
on
guess
that
on
train?
time.
Or were tickets for the evening?
for the afternoon one, yeah.
Oh.
So you've got a
Got
few
time.
hours. Yeah. It's not
Yeah,
even 9 o'clock right now.
Sure, we don't. we can join you for some coffee and tea.
Excellent. He comes over. He goes over to his wife, and he holds up her hand and kind of pats it very gently. We're going to move across the street now. And she kind of nods as she stands up. And then you see him pull her hand through the little crook in the inside of his elbow, and then leads her across the street. Inside the house,
Oh,
the older couple, you notice that they immediately have a different air about them, and they set up some teacups, coffee cups, and they'll bring over a little percolator that's been going, and you notice that the woman's like, I'll boil some water right now and bring it out in case you'd prefer tea instead of coffee. And she hurries into the kitchen. Mr. Barrow will hold out the chair for his wife, help her sit down, and then motion to the empty seats for you all, and he sits down next to his wife.
Is it easy to discern what her deal is? Like, is it clear maybe she's blind or just out of it?
Uh, let's see what you can figure out from a roll.
Okay.
Oh,
It sounds that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to help you? Skills, not so much.
Nope. Unless I read about it in the paper.
Okay. It's going to be a flat roll.
Yep. Yeah. Oop. 12.
You do have a doctor's bag, but that would require you like actually
Like examining her.
examining her. Yeah. If you just kind of want to use
I just
the
want to.
eyeball it, what'd you get?
Yeah. 12.
12. So that's enough to beat us a challenge 4. She looks like she's suffered some kind of trauma. It's not that she's blind or deaf or mute. It just looks like something happened, and you can it's almost imperceptible unless you really kind of lock eyes with her, and you see that there is this pain in the way that she holds her face, herself. It's almost like she's trying to be strong so she doesn't break down in public. It's the best way that you can kind of like make sense of what's happening with her.
Okay. I've seen that before from mining disasters.
Mhm.
Been 3 or 4 different places trying to patch folk up afterwards,
Yep.
and there's a look in the eyes that some
And
of them get, even
war
if there's
widows
nothing
too.
wrong.
But Mr. Barrow will pour himself some coffee, slide the percolator back towards the middle of the table. Father
I'll
Hill.
pour some.
Yep, go ahead.
I'll pour some for both of my companions and then myself.
Nice.
yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Father Hill, you wouldn't be the same Father Hill from parts northwest of us, would you?
It depends which Father Hill is that.
Oh. I've heard that there is a traveling congregation that brings peace and salves the wounds of those that are troubled. And when he says troubled, you kind of hear thunder roll in the distance. And through the window, you can see that there is this kind of gray rug that is slowly rolling down, overtaking the otherwise fluffy whiteness of the morning sky above you.
It's such a beautiful day today.
It was.
By trouble, what trouble do you mean, Mr. Barrow?
Oh, I don't have any personal troubles. I just have heard the name struck a chord with me.
A good or bad chord?
Oh, if it was bad, Father, I don't believe we'll be continuing this conversation.
Maybe so. But I am a man of the caller, so can't be all that bad.
What brought you into your God's service?
My family, pretty much.
Hmm.
we're very faithful to our beliefs in the Lord's work. So,
The Lord moves through us
but he
all.
said it. That is true and correct. I felt I needed to do more, and I can do more. I could be an instrument for God. Spread His word. Be His hand to help out in moments when when God is elsewhere, occupied.
He turns his attention towards Ben. The favor that you are doing for your associate requires the presence of a lawman. Is it dangerous?
I'll be honest, Mr. Barrow. I consider myself more of an investigator than an enforcer, if you will. Just trying to make sure that everything is above board, so to speak.
Refreshing. There are so many marshals that flaunt the badge, as it were.
Authorities, big stick. When you swing a big stick, people get hurt. I prefer to be careful.
I like the sound of that. When you swing a big stick, people get hurt. True words have not
Okay,
been
this guy's
spoken.
really started to creep me out.
Why, bro?
It's
It's
creeping me
just...
out.
What makes you serve your god? Not creepy at all. What are you
Oh
talking
man, he's just a rich guy, bro.
Like, what? Yeah,
Wow.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Edgar didn't creep you out. He's another rich guy.
Oh, well, I know Edgar's father, so it's okay.
Okay, so that's what it is.
Yeah.
So you notice that as you guys are talking, the bright sunshine that has been coming in through the window starts to diminish. It gets softer and softer. The thunder rolls a little longer every time that you hear it until you see the very light pitter patter of rain hitting the window. It's soft. It's not a full storm. It's just kind of a sun shower at worst. But he turns his head out towards the window. I hope this doesn't change the itinerary. I was hoping to be in Roanoke by tomorrow.
And what's over there? What business, if you don't mind me asking?
Family business that needs family attention. I don't want to bore you with the minutiae of my company's activities.
Mr. Barrow, do I look like a person who can get easily bored?
Oh, you're a man of the cloth.
I'm here to listen. Not get bored.
I find that those that follow in the footsteps of religion are good listeners. Some love the sound of their own voices. Those are the ones I worry about. You have not struck me like that kind, Father Hill.
Well, I'm glad to hear that coming from you, Mr. Barrow.
Where did you say the three of you are heading?
We didn't say we
Oh,
were heading.
good. I didn't want to be rude to you twice in the same day.
No. You have not come off rude at all.
Be
In
asked
fact,
my name. That is a little rude in my circles.
it's early in the morning and all is forgiven. After all, we're here. Hold on. This is me out of the game right now doing math. The five of us.
Hmm?
All the five of us are here enjoying
Quick math.
a nice coffee and tea. And nice conversation. Hard to come by with lives being so busy all the time. We barely have time for ourselves or time for others. But no matter what, it's always good to make time. And I put my hand on my Bible that I have on the table. Always time for this.
I wish that I could find solace in a book like you do. I think I've become jaded being involved in the family business. And you see that he puts his hand on top of his wife's hand, and she kind of turns from staring out the window and looks down at it, lets out a bit of a breath, and then turns her attention back to the window.
If you don't mind me asking, what could cause you to become jaded about your family business?
Decisions that have to be made often weigh on you when there is no correct outcome.
I imagine sometimes there ain't no choice but to swing that big stick.
Correct. It is why I'm heading to Roanoke. I must swing a big stick.
Metaphorically, right? We not actually swing a big stick. After all, violence really doesn't solve anything.
Violence does not.
Violence gets us nowhere, but just more sadness and more pain and more corruption.
As you say
We don't
that,
want to go down that path.
you see a tear come down his wife's face, the side of her face, and he immediately grabs his handkerchief out of his pocket and dabs it for her. I apologize for her. Violence claimed someone very dear to us. Has affected her.
Wait, I'm sorry. Did he say somebody? They lost somebody?
Mm-hmm. And you
My
notice
condolences.
that his handkerchief is a deep black silk with the calligraphy of a capital B in the corner in this deep kind of crimson red embroidery. The handkerchief alone, you would imagine, could probably cost what a simple worker could earn in a couple of months.
My condolences. Yeah.
It is appreciated, Father.
And like I stated earlier, I'm always here to listen. So if there be any need of my assistance, I am here for you both. And in that, I look at him, and then I turn my direction in her, like my view towards her. I am here.
We will be taking the afternoon train to Asheville, if that is the same that you will be on. We might have time for some of that during lunch, if you are amiable.
I believe our train is heading in where
Is that our next stop?
Yeah,
Okay.
Ashland, Virginia.
Yeah. Oh. It looks like we could do that then, lunch. And continue.
Excellent. He pulls out a billfold, puts down $5, which in 1909 is big money, especially for like some coffee, tea, and little biscuits. But he puts it on the middle of the table, stands up, gently touches his wife's shoulder, and she pulls her attention back to him, and he pulls her up. If you'll excuse us, gentlemen, we'd like to walk around town, take in the sights before train comes in.
I stand up. Well, I'm like, it's been a pleasure, Mr. Barrows. And I put out my hand to this.
He shakes it. And you notice as they're about to head out the door, the shower stops. The sky is still overcast. It's gray. But the rain itself has stopped. Everything above you is a color variance of light to dark gray, but out almost towards the horizon is almost a circle of just black encroaching and just kind of being rebuked by the gray. It's become a bit of somber day.
I'm gonna put my hand in my pocket and start rubbing the rabbit foot that I have.
Yep.
Well, I start rubbing, give it a little feel good rub, like comfort. And it's like,
if you rub it more than twice, you're playing with it.
No. They left already, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're out.
Yeah, the three of you are left behind.
Something wrong with his wife.
I can't say I much care for that fella.
There is something wrong in general. The signs are all pointing out. I mean, the way the atmosphere changed drastically with his presence, and definitely there is something with his wife, something with the family, quote unquote, business.
There's
Well, let's
something
hope our
deeply disturbing about that whole thing.
let's hope our final destination is not in keeping with the character of the journey to get there.
So, I mean, we will be meeting up for lunch, so we can gather more information and have more pleasant conversations as we just had.
Pleasant.
Yeah, it's a hell of a word to use for this particular one.
We're not lying, after all, for many reasons. But that was very awkward. Very awkward situation, awkward conversation, awkward sermon. I mean, most people with money are a bit awkward and eccentric, from what I've gathered, which is why I tend to stay away. Money only brings more corruption and evil.
We want to find out more. We might be able to ask some of the rail employees. They may have gossip on their boss.
That sounds like a good idea.
He seems like the
There
sort
is-
to not pay much attention to those he sees as too far below. You'll
In
note
my
how he didn't
experience,
even address me, the farmhand. Seems like a good place to be in.
yeah, now that you mentioned it, I mean, he did address myself and the marshal. But you were non-existent, pretty much.
I wanted to see how that would go. Might be good for us to, ask around. Though.
I'll finish my coffee
Mhm.
and stand up, check my pocket watch again.
It is now about almost 11.
Time's a wasting.
Before before we jump back on another train, and now that we have a moment for ourselves, are you gonna talk and discuss what happened last night?
I sit back down.
It's my experience that there's not much to say about those kinds of things. Things in this world that are outside of the way that we can talk about the rest of the world. But please, Father, if you have
Have any of
thoughts.
you have any of you ever experienced anything like that?
Now, I've seen a thing or two in my time. A thing or two that didn't quite make sense. Never had the face of a child, though.
All that talk of violence. Well, violence impacts people and violence has effects. But it also lingers. Whenever there's too much violence, can't be buried with the blood and the bones that it broke. It sort of washes over a place sticks around. That's kind of how I see them. The stains that won't come out. I see that in his wife, too.
The residents must be used to this situation. I mean, the couple has barely said anything about last night. They didn't even come downstairs with all the commotion.
The mind does well to not take in what it can't. What would they say?
I do notice the reaction to things they can't explain around these parts is very different from up north where I'm from. You see
Oh.
something in the woods up north, you grab a gun and you go after it. Down here, they just let sleeping dogs lie, so to speak.
But the winter's been long.
You notice that the wife of the gentleman that owns the house, as she's cleaning up the table while you guys are talking, you bring up the difference between the north and the south. She stops and she kind of crosses herself. She starts to say, "And our Father," to herself too, barely audible, but you can hear her. You know, "Our Father who art in heaven." She's walking away.
And excuse me, man. I join you in prayer.
Oh, of course, Father. It's just you were all speaking of the wrongness that's around the night out here, and got me kind of remembering. That's all. But I will never turn away prayer. What kind of Christian soul would I be?
I put out my hand to grab her hand.
And she puts away, like she puts on a different table, she'll put down the cups and saucers that she's taken. And she puts both her hands in yours.
Let's pray together. Let us bless these four walls and roof that you have over your head. You, your husband, your family, and your business establishment.
We don't have any family anymore, Father. We lost our children in a mining accident not too long ago.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
We knew the risk. But they were headstrong and they wanted to help out. Their father and I couldn't talk them out of it, so.
Sorry to see where this is going, but I'm going to ask anyways. I know the names of your children, so we can pray for them as well and rest their souls.
I would be much appreciated, Father. The eldest was Archibald. The youngest was Charles. We stopped trying to have children after the young Charlie came about. He was frail, kind of sickly.
You hear that, you two? sickly and frail. All right.
The
Told him
Barrows have
that.
been nice though after the incident. They come by every year and drop off a stipend. It helps.
Mr. Barrow he's a good man, isn't he?
His family has taken care of those that have been affected by the family business.
This family business, exactly what is the business besides
Mining,
the railroad? The mining.
yeah, mining and ore refinery. It's why Mr. Locke was so swayed by the original invitation to join the companies. I mean, you'd have to be pretty silly not to own a railroad company and turn away an investor who wanted to give you metal.
Hmm.
But she crosses herself as she stands up. Thank you for this, Father. It was very nice, and I appreciate it.
Thank you for your hospitality. Thank you.
It weren't nothing. She goes and picks up what she had dropped off and takes it back into the kitchen and continues kind of cleaning up after herself. And you guys,
Well, I'll be.
Yeah, I'm gonna go outside and light up a cigarette. Bang.
Mm.
Time for a smoke.
I'll join him in presence, if not in vice.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I think it's coming together, Ernie.
I spent last night giving her eldest son a spoon and you know, taking her youngest. I don't believe the name is going to them. If we get closer to our destination, I think things are just gonna get more peculiar, so to say.
I'm glad to agree. Wonder if there's some degree of connection between the ways the boys died and the penchant that our friends Mr. Barrow seems to have for running business.
He
Well, he did
compensates
say,
people for sacrifices. There's a lot of blood in that coal. It's well paid for.
you've seen your fair share of tragedy of digging to the mine, right, Hugo?
It's dangerous work. The mines don't want you there. Yeah.
What's your opinion of this whole situation, Hugo?
With the children
Yeah,
or Barrow,
both
his
really. The connection.
philanthropy. Oh, that's
Everything.
it's what I just said. You know, what more do you? It's violence leaves a stain. They're the you know that's what gets left behind when the blood and the bodies are broken and gone. The violence sticks around. That's all they were, little stains of what used to be people, filled with the
Looks like we're gonna
violence
go
that
into
killed them.
looks like we're going into a bigger place with a bigger stain to deal with.
Yeah, yeah.
I apologize if I was pushing my question. It's just I tend to look for someone guilty, someone to punish.
Well, the whole system here. There doesn't have to be some nefarious actor who, pushed them down the chute. But somebody said, if you want to eat, you've got to go down to that mine. And somebody said, well, if somebody goes down to that mine, I'll give you money and you can buy food with it. And somebody said, I want to run my train on coal. And I want to charge however much these fancy gilded tickets cost to have that smooth ride on that fancy train. In the world, there's all sorts of responsibility to go around. Unfortunately, for these kinds of things, it's usually not just one guy with a knife or a gun. Otherwise, you could take care of it.
Ben sighs deeply. He just shakes his head. Hell of a thing.
Now, I think the hell of a thing is how the rain stopped as soon as she cried that tear.
Now, that was just plain creepy.
That's
Well,
just a coincidence there, Hugo. Come on now. And I say that
in
in
my
a
line of work, I've learned
sarcastic
there's no
tone.
such thing as just creepy. Call it stains or call it taint. It's there. Well, let's see. We've got some time still before the train leaves. We might be able to ask the unassuming father or the lawman could get in with Porter, a ticket taker, someone who might know about the Barrows.
This sounds like a good idea to me.
Good. I guess, I can check the parish. To the father there. And I can meet you both back at the train. Also can have a word with the sheriff or Constantinople, Constantinople, right?
Yeah. Heading up to the local law might not be about a day.
And Hugo, the porter, or anyone else.
I'm sorry, I'm having an awful time hearing you, Ike.
Yeah, same.
Oh,
Oh, there, that's perfectly fine.
sorry. I was talking. Sorry, it was me probably talking too low. I can talk to the father of the local parish and meet you both back at the station. Marshall can talk to the lawman, and I guess you can have a word with some of the locals around here.
Sure.
All right, gang, let's split up.
Okay.
It's daylight. What can go wrong?
Yeah.
Investigation montage.
Yeah.
Nothing bad ever happens during the daytime.
Not at all.
Nah, and I'm going to a church, so come on.
Yeah.
Holy ground.
So we'll start with the sheriff's office. It is the furthest one out from everything else. And as Ben walks in, he'll see that there is this rotund, bearded man, just kind of fanning himself with his wide brim hat. It looks to be three little holding cells for 3 bunks each, but they're all empty. And
Always good to see.
behind him, he has a gun rack that has 2 shotguns and a rifle, a Winchester. And as you walk in, he kind of sits up and dusts himself off. How can I help you, young man?
Tip my hat. Sheriff, it's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. I am Ben Prescott, U.S. Marshal.
Ooh,
Not here on business.
he shoots up the second he hears U.S. Marshal.
I'm not here on business. None to concern yourself about. Wanted to check in with the local administration and see how things were going.
As you can see, we try to run a sleepy town here. Most people that end up in one of my 3 accommodations tends to be someone that can't hold their liquor, or that gets a little too rambunctious is a good word that I learned recently.
That's good to hear. Good to hear. I was wondering, what do you know about Mr. Barrow, the owner of the railroad and the mines and such?
We haven't seen Eustace Barrow come around here since the mining accident a few years back. But I also have heard that he has since passed on the day-to-day business to his youngest boy, Gerald, I think is his name.
I see. And the accident, yeah, any particulars in that?
Just a mining accident. Not too uncommon. These parts, a tunnel that we believed was sturdy and well maintained turned out to not have the best of supports. Unfortunately, 3 of our youngest were taken by the mountain, as it were.
3, you say?
3 boys. The tunnels were a little smaller, so the boys tended to be the ones that would be digging up the pig iron and whatnot. And that's why we kind of believed that they were a little sturdier, since they were squatter and lower to the ground. But you know, things happen out here.
Two of the dead boys wouldn't happen to be called. Ben brings out his notebook, flips through it. Archibald and Charles, by any chance?
Yep. Yeah, the Williamson boys. Yeah, they took it the hardest.
Yeah, just had a bit of conversation with the mother. Doesn't seem mind broken up about it.
Yeah, yeah.
Can't blame her, really.
No.
Losing son so young.
I'll be honest, Marshall. I wouldn't have been surprised if they had chosen to leave the town, but they decided to stay, and they've been given nice compensation by the Barrows, from what I've come to understand. The Freemans, who lost their boy, did pack up and leave. I believe that they made their way further west out into the Kentucky area. Wanted a fresh change of scenery and to have the mountain range on a different side of them.
What was the boy's name? If you don't mind me asking, the Freeman boy.
The Freeman boy, his name was Jonathan. Johnny Freeman.
The Freemans receive any kind of compensation from the Barrows?
If they did, they never said it out loud like the Williamsons do.
Interesting. Any reports of children playing around past their bedtimes lately? I know it's not something that a sheriff would be concerned with most days, but
I used to get called out. People were worried that some boys were out and about after sundown. But I don't remember ever finding anything out of the ordinary. I always thought that the boys, if there was anything out there, anyone out there, that they would have scurried off the second they heard me coming around.
thanks, Sheriff. You've been very helpful. I just had one more question.
Sure.
When it comes to the mine, any kind of insurance or anything taken out before the accident?
Before the accident, not that I ever heard of. That would be a question for the Barrows or their attorneys. I know that once the tunnel collapsed, that I believe that was the last time that Eustace Barrow came out. He was here for a good week, almost two, as they tried to dig out the bodies. He personally put his time and money to clearing out the tunnel as fast as possible to give these people some peace of mind.
Were the bodies ever found?
Oh yeah. You can't not remember if you were there. The image, I know, will haunt me for the rest of my days, and there are nights sometimes when, I'll be honest, I'll be in my drink and I'll remember the way that they looked like crumpled up pieces of paper. Just wasn't right. Wasn't the way I would have wanted anyone, let alone those three, to go.
I sympathize, Sheriff. I never want to see children mangled in that manner. This would be quite a thing. I extend my hand. I'll never
Shakes
call
it.
you name, Sheriff.
My name is William, Sheriff William Greene.
Well, Sheriff Greene, it's been a real pleasure. And
You've been awfully nice, Marshal.
I certainly hope the town stays as sleepy as it's been so far.
Amen. And he kind of knocks on his desk. From your lips to God's ears.
Tip the hat and head back out.
Okay. We fade out and dissolve into a small congregation. The church is humble, to say the least. It is typical rectangle of a building. There's a little steeple, a cross at the top, and as you walk in, you will see that there is a older woman who is cleaning up around the pews, just kind of sweeping and dusting. And there is an older white gentleman at the pulpit, just kind of flipping through his Bible, and you see him kind of writing something down on a notepad. But as the nun sees you come in, she stops and kind of nods and crosses herself.
I nod. I look around.
You see her kind of turn her head towards the preacher at the pulpit, and she's like, Father Browne, you had company. And he looks up, and you see that he's got these little kind of rectangular, very small glasses, and he immediately takes them off and puts them on top of his Bible, and comes around. My word, how can I be of service today?
Father Browne, how do you do? I'm Father Hill.
Man of the cloth, I see.
Visiting from Salem. Yes, visiting from Salem.
Awfully long way away from Salem. You won't find any
Yes,
witches
every now
here,
and then.
Father Hill. He kind of gives you a smile.
Oh, that's very good. That's very good news indeed. But I believe I think the witches are non-existent. I think they were completely exterminated. Been taking care of the problem.
One can hope that the devil's claws have been removed from our great country. You see him cross himself. And then she crosses herself.
I do the same. Amen. Amen to that. But yes, I am a long way from home. I tend to partake on travels and go from different places down south to different
Jesus himself
congregations and-
walked the world. It often confuses me why we are tasked with staying in one place, since the Son of God himself tended to walk about and bring the word of God to those that needed to hear, instead of, I hate to use a term, Father Hill, but being stagnant.
And when was the last time you took a walk, Father Browne?
Oh, not since I was assigned this town almost 10 years ago.
I see. I believe it's time to get those legs moving so you're not stagnant and practice what you just preached, Father Browne.
I wake up every day and hope that Jesus finds it in his heart to summon me somewhere. But As of right now, my place is here, and I shepherd the town, and I safeguard against the claws that Satan wishes to entrench itself into this community, as it were.
See. Oh, Father, I don't know how to put this, though. You're local and I'm just visiting, but there have been rumors of the superstitious types about locking their doors and closing their curtains and windows at night for things to occur and happen. What say you about this?
Oh, there.
I mean, it can't be witches now, can it?
It can't. No, they are. You will find that I have done my best to make this a witch-free community, Father Hill. There are superstitions that have predated my arrival here and that were not railed against by my predecessor, as it were. I believe that he was also a man of superstitions, and I think he was swayed more by the wives' tales and stories and the good book and what we were taught. I put my faith in the Lord and his child, and the Holy Spirit. Those are my superstitions, Father Hill.
I couldn't agree with you more, Father Browne. So you're saying this predates your time here, then, correct? That was what, five years ago?
10 years ago.
Oh, sorry. It's
No.
been
Sometimes it feels like
long
it's only
travel.
been 2 or 3 years, and sometimes I wake up and it's been exactly a decade, and my old bones creak and they don't bend like they used to, Father Hill.
Oh, I can't argue with that. I feel the same way most mornings. But then I think to myself, I say a prayer, and bless my health and bless my eyes open again to another glorious day under the Lord's visual.
That's all we can do. I know that as I have gotten older, I have become more of a nuisance to Sister Freeman here, but she takes it all in stride, and you see that she very playfully swipes at him with her dust cloth.
And Sister Freeman, is it?
She nods. Yes, Father.
And what do you think about these obscure rumors? You know.
I think to each their own, Father Hill. I know that I had family that has claimed to have witnessed the odd and the strange and the weird and unnatural, and I have been blessed that has avoided me like river water around the pebble. It has washed over me, it has left me in the grace of God, and I am thankful for it every day. As you said, I wake up and I say a little prayer, and I am grateful for everything that I have been given. And she crosses herself, and then the Father crosses himself. Amen, Sister Freeman. Amen.
And I just nod my head, amen. And talk myself as well. Wow. I see. I see. You do have such a lovely town, and I love the simplicity of the house of God that you have here.
Wow. It
Look around.
it is appreciated. We have only tried to live as the Lord has taught us. We ask for very little and we give as much as we can.
Speaking of giving, I did have the pleasure moments ago of having some coffee and tea with Mr. Barrow
Hmm.
and his wife.
That couldn't have been Eustace Barrow then. His wife passed shortly after I took over the town's religious needs.
No, this was Gerald Barrow.
Oh, his youngest. Interesting.
Uh,
I didn't think that Gerald had a head for business.
he seemed very, very distraught and worrisome about this whole ordeal with him and the family business as he will put it.
How is Wilhelmina? Have you spoken to her? She hasn't been the
He did
same
not say much.
since the collapse.
Collapse?
A mining tunnel
Remember, I'm
collapsed. Yeah, I know. This was about 5 or 6 years now.
Wow.
The Barrow tunnels, one of the smaller ones collapsed, claimed the lives of 3 boys, unfortunately.
3, you say?
Mm-hmm.
So those boys wouldn't happen to be Archibald and Charles, would they?
Charlie Williamson, yeah. Yeah, the 2 of them. Archie was about
Lod-
12 and Charlie was 10, give or take. I think he might have, no, he was gonna be 10 at the end of October. Oh boy.
That's their souls. And the third child, you said there were 3, correct?
3 children, yes.
Yes, I'm terrible with numbers. At my age, the only numbers that matter are the verses in the good book.
Correct.
So the third child.
The third child, and I hate to bring it up in front of the Sister Freeman since it was her nephew, but he was claimed by the tunnel as well. He looks at her, he says, he was about 12 as well, wasn't he? And she kind of crosses herself and says he had just turned 12. We had a nice big birthday. Charlie and Archie were there. Some of the other children in town were there. We even had some of the colored kids come by.
My condolences, Sister Freeman. I'm sorry.
I appreciate it, but the Lord needed the boys more than we did.
Indeed, they're in a better place.
We all can't control when we are called home, but we must go home when the call is made. And at this point, you see that Father
Indeed.
Browne has kind of stepped over to her and put his hand on her shoulder and just kind of like being very reassuring with her.
Uh,
You didn't come this way to ask about some mining accident, did you, Father Hill? I don't see how this could have gotten up to Salem.
no, I didn't even know about the mining accident until today. Actually, this is the second time I hear about it. Actually,
No. When was the first, if I may ask?
twice in one day. From the Williamson. I just briefly, I was lodging over at their place last night, and this morning
They are the most
it was
generous
brought
of the town, as they have hosted many a traveler.
the accommodations are lovely.
There has been some time since I walked over to their house and sat with them. I might have to do that when we're done here.
It would do them some good. It would do good, Father Browne.
And he turns to
Like you mentioned earlier, we have a God and the good Lord and Jesus walk.
he
Use
turns
those
to the sister. And now keep in mind, Sister Freeman, I am not trying to skirt my responsibility. I do want to help you finish cleaning up. Father Hill has shown me that I have neglected to take care of my flock, and I would be doing them a disservice if I pushed it any further. And she kind of again playfully bats him with the dust cloth. It's like, I can handle cleaning up a little bit. It's all right, Father. You do enough for me.
Apologies, Sister Freeman. Did not mean.
And she shakes her head. I'm just glad there was somebody else here that he could talk about the Bible with, because sometimes, I'll be honest with you, Father Hill, he just rambles and rambles and rambles. And at that, you see him kind of pull his hand away from her, and he's just like, well, I will try to ramble less then, Sister Freeman. The note has been taken. And they both kind of laugh a little bit about it.
This has been very, very delightful. Thank you both. Father Browne, thank you.
Thank you for coming by.
By the way, I saw you when I walked in. You were going through the pages.
Looking for my next sermon. Sometimes I find that if I just dance my fingers across the pages here and there, the Lord will lead me to where he needs me to find solace for the week.
I see. I walk away. As I walk away, I'm like, in my farewells. And I walk away and I mentioned, I always, when I'm in your position, I usually just start from the very beginning. Nothing wrong with Genesis.
I might go back. But he holds up his hand to you as you leave. And now, back at the train station, we get to see what Hugo has been up to. You see that there's a porter, the same porter that brought the clipboard over to the Barrow. He's kind of standing off to the side, smoking a cigarette. Hasn't seen you come up.
All right. Hey there, and I'll try to approach in as friendly and undisruptive.
Yeah.
He starts to get up. No, you keep at your business.
It's appreciated. Thank you. How can I be of service?
Well, I was wondering about these the Barrows.
Oh,
And I try to, what's that woman ain't right, is she?
oh, Miss Barrows hasn't been the same since she found out that the tunnel collapsed a few years back.
Oh, she mighty invested in it. Just a fragile kind of person.
The finding out that children's lives were lost took a toll on her, since she had lost her children around the same time. And I think the abundance of loss kind of pushed her.
And you happen to know what goes on? Wait, they're heading over to. He told me Roanoke.
Oh, I don't know what happens once they leave here. I'm just in charge of shipments and visitors that are coming in. So once they are moving on to the next leg of their journey, it is out of sight and out of mind, which suits me just fine. Bad enough I got to deal with all these shipments that come in every other day on the morning trains, and last thing I needed was to have a Barrow attached to this shipment.
Usually trouble?
Normally, when it used to be the elder Barrow, Eustace, he would come in and dictate and order everything around. He ran a tight ship. Gerald,
Young boy's not interested in that.
Gerald's not the same. I think the business and him don't match up correctly. I think it's a bit of a jigsaw piece that doesn't quite fit. The grooves are just a little off. But it was either him or his older sister, Joanne, but I don't think Eustace would have trusted the company to a woman. They don't have a mind for business anyway.
Yeah, certainly. And he bring any strange luggage?
Mr. Barrow?
Well,
Not that I saw.
they travel light?
Usually. At least Gerald does. His father used to carry his big old steamer trunks.
Yeah, usually that kind of folk carry a whole life around with them.
They sure do. Excuse me.
Yeah, pull out the $50 coin. Yeah, thanks for your time. And
Please keep your money.
don't mention it. Oh, all right.
I'm all right. And no secrets are spilled here, so there's nothing you have to pay for.
Well, how much would the secrets cost?
Assuming I knew any, I don't quite know.
Fair. Just a little tease there.
I get you.
Won't want you in any trouble.
Yeah, no.
Wouldn't want me in any trouble.
Yeah, no, exactly. You're the one that talked to Mr. Barrow. I only needed to get his signature.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you much, and try to just make my way off to see if I see anybody else about strange business. And if not, then I'll just be keeping my eyes open.
You see another porter off to the side, kind of with an open box and a clipboard, and he's checking things off like on a checklist. And just there's a moment where he kind of stops and flips through the 3 pages that he has, and then kind of looks back at the box, and then sits there, puts the clipboard down, starts scratching his head.
Yeah, something troubling you, friend?
He looks over at you. Older, grizzled gentleman. Oh, it's probably a miscommunication with whoever was in charge of the shipment, but it's just these things that don't appear on my list, and I might need to talk to Porter Hughes about it.
Can I get the sense that Porter Hughes is who I was just talking to?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he really seems to be on top of his game. Keeps a good got good eye on everything around here, right?
Bradley's a kiss ass.
Now, see, I don't know if I'd put it all like that, but
Only reason he's in charge of the station instead of me is because he plays the game. I don't need to play the game. I make enough to sustain myself. I'm in church on Sundays. I don't drink. I lead a good life.
yeah, not like them Barrows, huh? Suspicious folk.
Money turns people into monsters sooner or later.
Funny how that works.
Mm-hmm.
You know anything about the missus? Because that goodness, had some just passing by her like
Excuse
a
me.
chill.
The Statler woman.
The Barrow.
Yeah.
Oh.
She used to be a Statler. So when the two families were combined,
one to another,
their fortunes magnified. I've never seen them to be loving, if I could use that term. At least not like how my wife and I used to be before she passed, bless her soul, and he crosses himself.
Oh. Sorry for your loss.
I appreciate it. But she's always been an odd one. Very fidgety, from what I remember before the mining tunnel collapsed. Was never able to sit still. You know? You can't trust women like that with an abundance of energy. Well, now she's found the Lord, I guess. But whatever happened to her, she's a better woman for it, I think.
So what, you think you maybe just counted this wrong? Something showed up that it wasn't supposed to.
I would have believed that if it was something extra in that sense, but and you see him kind of point inside the box. As you come in, you can see that there's a bunch of like canned goods and things like that. But there's a rectangular box that looks to be about 1.5 feet wide, 6 feet long, and maybe 2 feet deep. And it just has the name Barrow on it. And he's just like looking over. He flips. You see him flip the 3 pages again. He's just like, "There's no mention of this box in any of my paperwork." So, if you excuse me,
1.5 by 2 by 6. Did you say? All right, that's it.
It was a 1.5 feet wide, 6 feet long, and 2 feet deep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just in case, I'm like,
No.
body? No.
No.
Umbrella. Yeah.
But he's like, if you excuse me, I'm gonna go force myself to talk to Porter Hughes and see if Bradley can figure out what this box is. I don't want anything to do with it. That's
Yeah, it
above
looks
my
like
pay
it'd be heavy
grade.
to try to get it out too.
Correct. And that is not something I'm gonna be doing by myself.
Certainly. Oh, thanks for. Hope that gets settled.
No. Yeah, you have a good day. And he
You
walks
too.
past you.
Leaving the box unattended.
Mm-hmm. It is unattended.
Does it look like a crate nailed shut kind of thing?
No, it actually has the old latch, the flip latch, but there's no lock. It has 3 latches. The top and bottom are a foot away from their corners, and then the third one is just directly in the middle.
Flip.
Opening the crate, you can see that it's full of straw. Something has to be hidden in the folds of it.
Give it I take a look over my shoulder just to
Nobody looking at you.
give a quick poke through the straw.
You see there is what looks to be a black marble statue. It's about 5 feet tall and maybe a foot in diameter around. But it's of a howling wolf. Beautiful detail.
I just take a moment to try to really take in the details of it. And would I recognize anything specific about this? Well, let me say, do I recognize anything specific about the details of this?
Let's see, what skills or abilities do you want to throw at this? Do you have anything?
Well, so I've got identifying plants and creatures, but then I've also
you
got
could throw that at that. Yeah, wilderness.
magic crafting, magic understanding, in case this is something
Are you
extra weird.
you
Oh no,
trained?
those are.
Oh, yeah, inability.
Oh yeah, there we go. I was like, what does I mean again?
So that would hinder you.
Bad one.
Yeah. More than help
but
you.
understanding I've got. Right?
No, understanding looks like it has an eye as well.
Well, what is it? They're all like I dash
Oh no.
T.
Yeah, trained.
No, the first I is that it's intellect. And then the second one is that it's
Inability. Yeah. Yeah, so T means that you're trained in it. So yeah, so you're trained in understanding magic. And you're trained in using magic.
identifying plants and creatures. It seems so realistic that
Yeah.
Maybe this is if it's not actually a realistic wolf, then it might be something else.
Yeah, I'll let you throw identifying plants and creatures at it to ease the task by one. Go ahead and roll your dice. See what happens.
You know
You
what?
want to throw some?
I'm gonna also put I'm gonna put one.
One level worth of intellect of effort. You can push to 2. You do have 2 levels worth of effort.
No.
No?
The one was already at cost 2, right?
1 level would cost you 2. 2 levels would cost you a total of 4. Because you do have 1 edge.
I'll just throw the one in there, and
Okay.
yeah, I'm interested, but
So you've got an easement from a skill, and you've got an easement from effort. So that's two levels down.
Ooh. All right. Well, it doesn't help that the die isn't with you. 11.
11. That covers a challenge 3. Almost enough for a 4. The intricacy of the statue is unlike anything you've ever seen before. This is definitely excuse me, as close as you're probably going to get to a Leonardo da Vinci equivalent of art. There are moments where if you tilt your head in one direction, the light catches the marbling of the chest in such a way that it almost makes it look like it's breathing. You'll see a very shallow kind of up and down, depending on how you're looking at it. When you tilt your head back and forth, it kind of definitely amplifies that sensation. But there's this coldness to the statue that even though it shows something alive, something living and in the middle of an action, there is this coldness of death to it. This somber stillness, stoicism. By the time you come out of your amazement, your awe, you'll feel what's his name? Gunther's hand on your shoulder. You all right? Seem lost in thought.
Just some things. Yeah, don't open that box.
Yep. You don't gotta tell me twice.
And I'll make my way away from there.
Yeah. Once you come out to the front of the station, you'll see that Ben is already down the road, almost at the station, and behind him, further up, you'll see that Father Hill is coming out.
Fellas,
3 of you come together again.
I see nothing. What you got? What you all hear?
Well, ain't nothing new as far as the law is concerned. I did learn that there was a third victim in the mine collapse. One takes out his notebook, flips through it. Jonathan Freeman.
I met his aunt.
Oh.
She's a nun at the congregation.
I also know where any of the family was left. As far as the sheriff knows, parents took off to live in Kentucky. Put some distance between them and the the issue. No abnormalities as far as insurance or any kind of sign of foul play, as far as I can tell. So overall, not extremely productive a trip for me. How about you, fellas?
Like I said, I met the Freeman's child's aunt at the congregation. The pastor there, he's ready to be summoned for a witch hunt, pretty much. If there's any to occur. Doesn't believe in none of the superstitious rumors. And as far as the Barrows go, that's the son who's taken over the business that we met today, the youngest. And the mining incident that happened that killed those poor 3 boys is a huge tragedy for this town and for the company, for the Barrow family company, family business, pretty much.
Not only that, but for Mrs. Barrow. I hear that she wasn't quite like this before the accident. And that she lost her own children shortly before, or around the same time. So that might explain their generosity and interest. But feels like there's more connections there. They've got a crate that they made sure not to list on the manifests. And I'll have my journal and pencil and try to give a sketching of the wolf statue, since I've got that memorizing direct experiences. I think I could make a pretty accurate rendering of what it was. Transporting this.
You're used to almost drawing lifelike representations of things that you see. Leaves, flowers, animals. Excuse me. When you recreate the wolf statue, it's like a 5-year-old drawing what somebody has described to them instead of what you've seen yourself. Like, there is this connection between, and like, you can remember it. You remember vividly what you saw, the marbling, the effect of the light on its chest, things like that. But putting it to paper, there's a disconnect there.
And I don't know if I could even start to describe that to them. But I might say, you know, I can imagine the reaction, because I'll have the same reaction to the slop that I drew.
Yeah, and you'll start a second one and the same thing. It'll just, it's almost like, and you're holding your pencils how you've held pencils before, but to you and to everybody else, it looks like if somebody just kind of held the pencil like they're about to kill somebody in a horror movie, and then just kind of like angrily drove the pencil into the piece of paper.
That's very nice, Hugo.
I'm gonna flip back in that book a little bit and be like, well, and I'll have like a sketch of one of them that I did the night before.
Look, just so you guys can see, I'm not terrible.
Are you sure you saw a wolf or a rat? That is a rat, right? I mean, or like a wolf?
Yeah, maybe a possum.
It's a jackal.
Oh, you know what?
Jackal.
It does look.
Jackal.
It looks like a possum.
Wasn't a jackal the first fucking time.
Right, like the snot's a little more pointed.
There's something afoot here.
Why don't you just tell us what you saw instead of drawing?
Yeah. Well, this is important because what I saw, it had that feel like those boys. That kind of thing that wants to slip out of your mind. You don't want to keep it in there. It's a marble, dark as night statue.
You hear thunder roll as you start to describe the statue.
Great.
What was it? Frau, what's her name?
Frau Fabisna?
It as real as a real wolf, but cold and dead stone, like nothing I'd ever seen before. And apparently, Barrows are taking it with them somewhere.
In the distance,
though
you hear the train whistle announcing its approach.
You said the box wasn't in the manifest?
Right.
No, all the creepy shit aside, that there might be some legal ramifications to that.
Well, considering he owns the train. Probably.
Why do I feel like we are about to jump in a train on our way to hell?
Well, perhaps we can find out a little bit more about what goes on in Roanoke. Though, that may have nothing to do with the haunted house we need to get to.
You will see that after the whistle in the distance, as you guys are talking outside the station, you'll see the Barrows coming out of a small shop down the street and making their way towards you. Excuse me.
While all this is going on, I want to keep thinking of what Hugo was describing, of what he saw.
Yep.
And use either my area of knowledge of religion or my understanding of magic to see maybe I can decipher and figure out what he saw exactly. And
You're trained.
Any answers?
Yeah, so for sure the understanding of magic can be put to this test. What was the other thing that you wanted?
Area of knowledge, religion.
That's Hugo, not you. Understanding magic, you are trained in either way.
Yeah, I'm trained in both.
Yeah. Religion is definitely not going to count for this.
Okay.
It's not a religious statue.
Not a religion,
It says religion. Area of knowledge. Okay.
Well, yeah, this is more paganism than religion. If I had to,
magic, then.
if I had to put a label on it, do you want to throw any level of effort at it? You can throw one level of effort, and you have 2 edge and intellect, so it would cost you 1 point.
The effort we regained, right?
Yeah, you've slept, so you got your pulls back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me use. Put in some effort.
Okay. It'll cost you 1 intellect, and so you've eased it with effort, and you've eased it with your understanding of magic. That lowers the challenge by 2. Roll your dice, my friend. See what happens.
So that brings me down from 20 to 19.
No,
or 18?
no. I have the challenge in my head. What level it is?
Oh,
Remember, the challenges
but I'm not used.
in the Cypher system are based from 1 to 10, and whatever level I've chosen, like if you choose for level 3 challenge, you multiply by 3, and that's the number you've got to get on the die. So a level 3 challenge means you got to get at least 9 or higher. And the more you ease it, the more you lower the difficulty challenge rating.
All right, but I'm not using any points or anything like edge or anything like that. Or...
Yeah, you would be using intellect if you want to throw effort at it. So it'd be,
yeah. So that's what I'm saying. So
yeah, so it'd be 1 point
it would
off
drop
of your
from-
intellect. Yeah, you would go down from
so
20
it
to
would be
19. Mhm.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about the
You
die
roll.
roll. I was like, no, you're not getting how this works.
Expanded crit.
No,
What are you
no.
talking about?
Yeah, no.
Oh my
The
goodness.
system already gives you like a wide crit range. Like the crits start at 17.
You can just dice no more. Okay, I got a 3.
A 3. So that's enough to beat a challenge rating of 1. I can tell you
Oh.
without hesitation that it was a lot higher. So he's described this wolf to you. The drawings that he's tried to do of it look at best like a non-creative 5-year-old who's probably never held a crayon or pencil in his life has tried to recreate. So you don't have a lot to work with unless you see the statue firsthand. And so for you, he's just describing a wolf statue. But you see the barrows pull up next to you guys.
That's just a wolf statue.
Huh?
What was that? Because you were cutting out.
The barrows walk up to the 3 of you.
With the wolf statue, it ended with
Yeah,
all
yeah.
you get is that it is a wolf
Yeah.
statue.
Yeah.
Oh, so it wasn't just me. Okay.
No,
Yeah,
no,
it was like
no.
a long pause there.
No. You rolled a 3,
But like,
so you got that he is in fact describing a wolf statue.
all right, but
Awesome.
okay.
Yeah. Without seeing the statue, that's the best that you rolled to. And you lowered it by 2,
Yeah.
so the odds were in your favor, technically.
Yeah, city roll.
Yeah. I
Got
was
a
like,
little
oh,
mechan-
I was like, he should do it. Two levels of easement. He should get this roll. And then you're like, I rolled a 3, and I was like, cool. Yeah, he's talking about a statue.
a bit of a mechanical thing. Do the pools? Is there anything that relies on the total number that you have currently in your pool, or is
So-
it just you're spending them?
It's mostly to spend, but it's also your health. Because if you run out of one pool, like if you take damage, you subtract it from whatever pool you were using to avoid that damage. So if you were using speed to kind of dodge an attack, but you still get hit, you would subtract more damage from your speed if you use any effort. And if you ever take damage and you don't have enough, or your pool is drained, then you start taking what's called a status effects, I believe. It's on a damage track.
Oh, that's
so-
the impaired, debilitated, dead.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
There's
healthy
never
is
anything where
hail.
it's like roll against the total pool that you have, or something.
No.
Okay.
Everything.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
Every roll is always going to be, here's a difficulty class, a difficulty level. And if the DM tells you what level you're rolling towards, you can easily just multiply it by 3 to get the target number on the die. If you're not if you're not being told what you have to roll, then you can just do a blind roll. But that's why I will always ask if you have anything that you can throw at a task to ease it, or if you want to throw some effort at it. Because sometimes even one level of effort is enough. Because if you really look at the numbers, if something was a difficulty 5, you need to get a roll of 15 or higher on the die, which is, I think, a 30% success rate, if I'm mathing correctly. Whereas if you ease it with one level of effort, you bring it down to a 4, which is a 12 or higher, and that brings it up to, I think, 42%. Closer to 40.
Each number is a 5, so every effort that you spend is going to be 15%.
Okay.
Easier. Yeah.
So, yeah. Tells I wasn't completely off, but my mathing is this is why I'm a theater major and not an accountant.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but the barrels come over. You see that
Barrow on over.
His wife has a small bag. You can smell what smells like sweetbread, like not a croissant per se, but definitely in that family. And as the train pulls up, he kind of comes over, sees the three of you. Productive day, gentlemen.
So to speak.
Good. If you have any issues with your accommodations, please do not hesitate. I will make sure that it is rectified as quickly as possible.
Ike, you're muted.
Yeah, if you're talking.
That explains a lot.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you. That's very, very thoughtful and very kind of you, Mr. Barrows.
Of course. And the train pulls up. The porters help everybody off board first. And once everybody's allowed to board, they start to get to work on removing the cargo that needs to be removed and putting in the cargo that needs to be put in. The Barrows are in the coach room down from you. So there's your room, another room that has a single occupant, and then their room is the third down. And shortly after 1:40, 1:45, you see that the train starts to pull away. Even though it arrived early, especially given the storm that happened in the morning, removing the cargo and placing the cargo took longer than expected. But the train starts to chug along. And after an hour into the trip, the porter comes around and tells you that your cart is first to partake of lunch. And as you meet up, you'll notice that Gerald Barrow is by himself at lunch. And as you three come in, he gets up from his table, and he motions, and a porter comes over, brings and slides another table next to his, and they bring three more chairs, and he motions, like, please join me.
Mighty generous of you.
All right, now my head.
Thank you, sir.
Mm.
Thank you.
And lunch is served. You have your choice of either a turkey sandwich or BLT. There's a side of fruit salad, and for dessert there is a choice between apple pie and this time a rhubarb pie.
Ooh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's already. I'm noting this. Father Hill is a pie connoisseur.
Sure.
A pie man.
Yeah.
He likes his pies.
He knows his pies.
That's it.
And the conversation has, floated around different topics that the four of you are willing to conversate about. I don't think there's going to be any real dodgy behavior from anyone at the table.
Oh, I'm gonna excuse myself before dessert
Okay,
and offer up my selection of pie to the
of course.
father.
And as the pies are being brought out, you'll suddenly feel the train come to a stop. It's a little abrupt, so there's a little bit of jostling, and some of the people in the dining car kind of gasp. But there's a moment where the speed that you were at slows down incredibly fast for a moment, and then the train comes to a stop, and you hear a loud crunching noise kind of reverberate through the valley that you're in. And a porter will come over and whisper something into Mr. Barrow's ear, and he goes, I am willing to offer anyone able-bodied that wants to help $1 or $2 for their assistance. Pass it along. And the porter nods and takes off towards the rear of the car of the train. But Mr. Barrow looks at Ben and Father Hill. I apologize. It seems that the storm earlier knocked down some trees and there's debris on the tracks. We'll be on our way as soon as we can get it cleared up.
I wouldn't mind lending a hand clearing up.
Please, I couldn't ask you to. Your guests.
I'm first and foremost a public servant, sir.
I appreciate that, Marshal.
I get up, tip the hat.
You
Head
hear
forward.
the thunder roll, and then you hear the pitter patter of rain again. You're taken out
I guess
to the front of the train. You gonna go with him, Mike?
No, I guess I will be the one to stay and have a chit chat with Mr. Barrows.
Sure.
Someone has to do it.
So Ben is
If they
making his
wanna
way
see
to the
that wolf.
front. Yeah, Ben is making his way to the front. Where is Hugo going? Now that the train has
So,
stopped.
I excused myself before before the dessert got there,
Mhm.
and made my way back towards our cabin, but kept on walking
Okay.
and knocked on the door of the Barrows cabin.
The curtains are drawn, so the two windows and the two main windows on the door, the French doors, are blocked. You don't hear anything coming from inside.
I'll very carefully try to just open the door anyways. See if it's not locked from the inside.
It is not locked, and as you peek in, the room is dark except for the sliver of afternoon light that has crept in through the open window, and you can see that there is the curtain is kind of flapping as gusts come in, and the sill and a little bit of the rug under the window are getting wet, but there's no sign of Mrs. Barrow.
I'll take a moment to just scan the rest of the room, see if I see any.
It's dark. The
bags
room,
or,
the room
flat-
has no lighting whatsoever. It looks like it was purposely, like, because you have oil lamps in your estate room. It looks like these were purposely turned off.
How big is the window going out? That rain's coming through.
It almost
Person
takes
size?
up. Yeah, it's
Wife size?
almost. It's husband sized, if that's the metric we're using.
Husband sized.
Well, Wilhelmina Sattler size. Yeah.
Yeah, easily. But yeah, the room is dark. The train is stopped. And you can see that the porter is coming back with what looks to be 5 strapping, kind of able-bodied men between 20-ish to 40-ish years old. And they're all kind of rolling up their sleeves and making their way towards the front of the train.
I'll be closing the door and well, my room's that one.
And the porter didn't really like take notice of you until he has to like cross your path, and then he like excuses himself, and walks past you, and everyone following him kind of excuses themselves as well. And there's a moment where it becomes eerily quiet. This whole cart is at the dining cart. So you're by yourself here, and all you hear is the tapping, the kind of march drum beat of the rain as it's coming down on the roof.
I'm just gonna follow them out.
Okay.
Safety. Like, I don't want to be in here anymore.
Okay. And you'll see that you're taken to the front past the dining cart. You'll see that Father Hill and Mr. Barrow are still at the table. He is drinking his coffee. Father Hill is about to dive into the second piece of pie. Out of 3, because if I remember, Ben doesn't eat dessert either.
Ben does not eat dessert.
So Father Hill has 3 pieces of pie to go through.
He's probably so happy right now.
I'm telling you, it was decided right here and then that Father Hill is a pie connoisseur.
I like it.
That's besides the cigarettes, that's his vice.
I like it.
I foresee Father Hill being taken from us on, floating on the scent trails of a pie being left somewhere.
Devil's pie.
Yeah. But if you keep going with the group, you'll see that Ben is already out at the front of the train. There's one of the engineers is out there with him. And you can see that there are a couple of trees that had come down. It looks like some of the soil just kind of loosened up, and the trees fell over and just are blocking the train tracks. And so a lot of the what's going on is just kind of like sharing of the one axe that people have, that the train has, and just kind of cutting from top to bottom the tree into easy to kind of transport chunks. And
I'm gonna take over the cutting, because these people probably don't know how to do that as well as I do.
Yeah. And there's a couple of people from the group that the porter brought that immediately get to work on like pulling and breaking branches that they can pull and break. The rain is not rough, but it's definitely coming down. You can see that there's a definite strength increase from the morning shower that you had. And as everybody's getting to work, and as Hugo and Ben are trying to figure out what the best way is to kind of clear the tracks, you'll hear the first of 3 howls, and then the second, and then the third. And at the top of the train, and from either side, you will see these huge wolves. Their fur is black as night. There's spots of white on their chests and across the top of their heads and at the tips of their tails. They look like they come from the same clutch of births, the same little pack. And as the one on top just looks down at the amassed group there, this is what we're going to call it for today.
Ooh.
So, thank you guys for coming back for part 2. Both the audience and you lovely human beings that have allowed me to take this story and traumatize you with horror. As always, before we get into the goodbyes, let me give you guys a chance to plug whatever you're into. Julio, are you doing anything online that you want to plug?
Just here.
Just here. Ike, anything
Happy
for
to
you?
be in your games.
Oh, I'm happy to have you. Nothing.
No, nothing. Just going into Ravnos Archon channel and all his games,
Thank you, sir. And
whether I'm in it or not.
yeah, Donald, I keep trying to
No
get you
new
into it.
plugs.
No new plugs?
No. Next weekend though. Same time, same spoopy place.
Same bad time, same bad channel. So yeah, thank you guys again to the audience for coming along with us. I hope that you guys are having a good time. As always, we are doing a countdown to Halloween, so there will be one more Saturday episode before our finale takes place on actual Halloween evening, where we get to see just what is following this little trio and preventing them from getting to Norfolk, because that's what it feels like. As of next week, you can catch me at McStabber Studios, where we'll be starting their third and final season of Demon the Fallen. I have come up with a very interesting character concept, so I can't wait to see how I gel with the rest of the group, because I'm coming in for this season specifically. I was never a fan of Demon until I saw it being played, and as much as I cry bullshit because they are overpowered, I can't wait to be overpowered with them. As always, if you feel like you need help, we take mental health on the channel incredibly seriously, so please know that it is okay to not be okay. If you're watching live on Twitch, there are phone numbers going up. They'll be in the description box if you're watching on YouTube later, for helplines to help you get the assistance that you need if you feel like you need it. And if you're not in the United States or you don't do well with phones, there's a link as well to findthehelpline.com, so you can find the help that you need in the area that you live in. Because we've all been through some tough times, and sometimes we need a little help to climb out of whatever darkness we have find ourselves in. So please know that it is okay to not be okay. And if you need help, there are people out there who want to help you and can help you. But otherwise, I haven't done this in a while, so I'm trying to remember the order of operations when we get to the ending. And I think that's it. I think we did it. We did the thing, boys. So thank you guys once again. We will see you when we see you, and have a good rest of your day. Bye.
Bye.